Are we on as yet?
We're about to be on. Oh dear. There is an issue. Okay. Oh. Hello, everyone. We are live and here with you on what promises to be a very momentous day. And that momentous day is really the signing of the US India trade deal, the much awaited upon trade deal. This is being called a strategic reset. Supporters are saying that it's about supply chain resilience, technology, defense, manufacturing, and reducing dependence on China. Critics, on the other hand, are saying it opens up the risk of opening our markets without securing enough reciprocal access. Now, this deal also sits at the intersection of geopolitics and economics. For Washington, India can be the most credible long-term counterweight to China. And for New Delhi, US is, of course, its largest market, export destination. But it's also a partner that often pushes hard on market access, on data localization, agriculture, and intellectual property. So, the real question that we're going to be discussing tonight is whether India US ties are strong, which they clearly are. But the question is who gains leverage and who gives? And whether this deal strengthens India's strategic autonomy, which we are so proud of and we preserve, or does it in a very subtle way constrain it? So, for this discussion, I'm delighted to be joined by Pratik Vedya, Karma Management Solutions Global. And it's lovely to have you here also on the Executive Council. He's a director on the Executive Council of the Indo American Chamber of Commerce. And there is, of course, Suhail Seth. Very happy to have Suhail Seth with us as well. And let's get started for initial thoughts. So, Pratik, initial thoughts from you. What is your take on this?
Well, I would like to tell you three things, in fact. So, one is we know that tariff reset is the big news, and US tariffs on Indian goods have been cut from 50%, which they were always claiming, to 18%. So, that's a direct competitiveness boost, I would say. So this is phase one and not the final book, I would say. Even Reuters say that they are very clear. This is the first phase, and details are still pending in parts. And believe me, some tariffs may fall further, but nothing, everything is not confirmed yet. Right now, they're saying it's phase one, 18%, and so on and so forth. If you see, markets have reacted instantly. Nifty jumped about 3%, and even rupee strengthened about over almost 1%, actually. So that is what market's saying, and that's matters actually all about. That's what headline item I would like to just share that.
Okay, great. And Sohail, what about you? Sohail, what's your take on this?
I think it's damn good. It shows that A, India has not succumbed. B, we've not been arrogant post this announcement of the deal to say, oh, rah, 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 see, we screwed Trump. Look, Trump has to realize and has realized that India can be self reliant, that India doesn't need America as much as America thinks India needs it. B, geopolitically, this China plus strategy is a non sequitur. I mean, if America wants to break the hegemony of China, it has to warm up to India. What does India have going for itself? We're a functional democracy. We're the world's largest democracy. They are the world's oldest democracy. We have a rule of law. We have American companies which have been in India for over 45 years. So the experience of being in India, working with Indians is already established. They have seen in America how people of Indian origin behave and work. We're not disruptionists, we're not terrorists, we're not arsonists. If you look at the brain power that India has, America recognizes that brain power. If earlier there were doubts about our manufacturing capabilities, today 90% of all iPhones sold in America to Americans are produced in India. India is also now embracing AI like never before. We've, in the recent budget, day before yesterday or yesterday, day before, we have now announced tax incentives for foreign companies which are investing in cloud data. So these things augur well. I think Trump was behaving like a balloon floater, that I'll float this balloon, let's see how it works. And it didn't work. If he expected Narendra Modi to grovel, Modi didn't. And to be fair,
Yeah.
Modi followed what I would call great leadership values in the way he behaved. There was not one statement from Modi, denying what Trump kept on saying about, oh, I've ended a war. Modi was always very civil. There was not one statement from the prime minister. In other words, a lot of people could get riled and say, oh, screw you. What are you saying? The prime minister didn't do that. We
Yeah.
followed diplomacy, we followed rule of law, and we followed a tenuous, enduring program of engagement with the Americans. And the chickens have come home to roost. I must congratulate not only the Prime Minister, but also Dr. Jaishankar as well as Piyush Goyal, because this troika made sure things happened. And today, when things have happened, we should be proud not of our leadership alone, but of the fact that America has recognized that India is as much an economic superpower as earlier they thought we would.
Prateek, I mean,
And
go ahead, Prateek.
yeah, and I just wanted to add here. In fact, see, most importantly, after May, June last year, when both end with one of the war, which is proxy or war, we can say, with our neighboring nation, and then US also pushing us further that we will impose tariffs in a high. I think we kept our head high on that, and simultaneously, what we did was we built on actually three corridors. If you go to say. First is the India-UK corridor, which is very important. 99% of Indian exports to benefit from zero duty. And there are phase schedules, but direction is very clear. That was one thing which they did. Just last month, you know it very well. In fact, on 26 January, 27
The
January,
EU.
EU signed a very they would eliminate or reduce tariffs covering 96.6% of EU goods exports to India. And we expect that the EU exports to India or vice versa would double by 2032. So that's very important. And then comes this particular deal where we say, okay, fine, we're talking about 50% now, 18%. But one thing which we need to also see that while it is 18% to Indian, exports, there is zero tariff, 0% tariff from US exports to India, and somewhat where what we were stopping around some of the agricultural things is now going to be a basic agriculture, and all, they are also allowing it. So it would have been great if it would have been like FTA like UK and EU, where it's like 99.6 both ways, rather than just 18% from India then as exports, and 0% from US to India. That's what I just wanted to share that.
Okay.
So
And we're joined by Trampesh Kumar, Donald Putra, or something. Yes, Trampesh. How are you
Actually,
responding to the trade deal?
look, first, I'm happy it's done. On the other hand, I'm not happy it's done, because what happens with Donald Trump is once you've done some deal with him, he wants the next deal. तो अब अगले डील का प्रेशर शुरू हो जाएगा. Okay, so in the next 15-20 days, you'll see this will smoothen out, and then something new will start off. And there's nothing you can do there. Okay, now I'm also waiting for the details, because if you heard Piyush Goyal's speech in Parliament today, there is no clarity on agricultural products and things like that I could tell. But I think it's safe to say GMO crops are not coming in. So, things like, so for example, genetically modified soy and things that basically require legal changes to be made, those aren't coming in. I suspect the dairy and farmers will be protected. Otherwise, You'll have more tractors and things on the streets. Um, what he's offering essentially seems to me is a relative advantage compared to ASEAN, which now has what, on average 20% tariffs, and China, which has 47% tariffs. So we can only hope they don't reach a deal with China, at least for the rest of Trump's presidency. There's also the roadmap, $500 billion worth of goods. Do you know how much we import right now? Something like 40, 45, $50 billion, something like that. Uh, how are you going to take it to 500 billion? America, is a high quality manufacturer. Our manufacturing requires the kind of, our consumption patterns require much lower quality products. How are we going to get to 500 billion? I don't know. I think this is classic overstatement. I also think the petroleum thing is bunkum, which is that we will be continue to buy Russian oil based on sanctioned by whom? When he says sanctioned, we will buy from non-sanctioned countries. Sanctioned by whom? Are there UN sanctions on Russia? No. Okay. So this is one of those open-ended things which can be interpreted in any possible way. Uh, crude, if Venezuelan crude is worthwhile, we'll buy it. If it isn't worthwhile, we won't buy it. We are not going to give up a market till February 22. We went buying Russian crude because Russian crude made no sense. It had to come all the way across, China, through the Sea of Japan, then the South China Sea, then into the Straits of Kra, then finally across Cape Comorin, and finally it would reach Gujarat to be refined. We only started buying it because the prices came down. They started offering us concessional pricing in the last 3 4 years, so we did. uh, I think that's roughly what we're going to see. But again, the problem is, this government is terrible at communications. I really hope they hire Suhail Seth or something like that, because I have never seen somebody who's able to do so much good and be so goddamn lousy at selling it.
Which we've been saying, Advaita, on this
I've
Sunday
Yes.
now
Club and whatever the hell you name your places for bloody tax purposes. We've been saying this ad nauseum that the BJP
You-
is doing such amazing work, but is the worst communicator of the good that it does. It is the worst. And the agenda gets
and,
hijacked by this Hindu Muslim stuff rather than real stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
and I think you know what this trade deals. What you said is right. I don't know your real name, but Kampesh Kumar. Trade deals. I would say trade deals are like gym membership. Is signing is very easy, but the gains will come show after every with discipline. And what he says is that once you sign the deal and you start going to the gym, and then suddenly something else is coming up. So we need to see how it is. But MSMEs, if you got to see, MSMEs, they will not lose imports, and there'll be competition. Actually, that is the worry actually, where we have around 73 million MSMEs in India, and 70 million, whichever there, and that's a worry because now they'll have to compete. Already they were competing with China's, exports to India, and now they will be competing also. There is also a kind of a small and less farming imports going to be there from US, which is US is going to export small farming thing as well, apart from. Now that is related to agriculture, or how is it going to be benefiting us? We don't know. So MSMEs are really have to really up their ante to ensure that they compete with EU imports and US imports as well. So that's going to be the tough question here
Yes.
back home.
You work with the MSME sector as well. What is the feedback coming from them post this deal?
So they are saying that while it is very good, they need to, it is good to restore competitiveness, and it's a key thing for the market. But enough things to also be given by the government, right from licensing and right from compliance, right from other things, benefits, capital access, and everything for MSMEs to ensure that they are abreast and they're not killed up. because then there'll be huge surge of imports coming up. If as a consumer, you will always feel that, why should I buy any homegrown indigenous products rather than I buy from something a better quality? And that's what the whole thing is when we say better quality product from Europe or US. And that should not really kill the MSMEs, and that will be a really bad thing. So balance has to be done. While it is all import, maybe make in India, those things, some of the things assembly, like how the automobiles work, right? So it is made in other countries, but it is assembled here. So something on those lines, if it is like a hybrid thing, it will be really good. Otherwise, MSMEs really will die if these things
Oh,
come
wow.
up and really get implemented. That's my take is actually.
Remember what Henry Kissinger said: America is a terrible enemy to have, but it's an even worse friend. They're no one's friends. They're deep mother, whatever they are. No, I said
What?
mother as in Italy, Italian. Mother is mother. So point I'm making is they're deep guys. Never trust those buggers. They are in it only for themselves. Whoever they've behaved with, whoever they've made allies out of. Okay, here's the example. Asif Munir, that field marshal beggar, and Shehbaz Sharif, that little jerk, they went hundreds of times to White House, lunch, ye wo. Who did he screw over? Those two jokers. So remember, ये किसी के दोस्त नहीं है, ये कमीने लोग हैं.
But I would like to differ here. In fact, let's see history. Let's forget not Trump, but let's see history of 20, 30, 40 years. Uh, India's growth is actually, fueled also by the growth of West, and we exporting some things to the West, be it technology, be it exports of products and services there. In
What
fact,
technology have we
and
exported? What
we
technology?
have
Suhail, let
exported.
him finish. No.
So we
No.
have exported.
What
uh, so,
technology?
so
We
we
have the right
exported.
to ask.
So
Not
yeah, of
somebody
course.
one show that everyone will say whatever they want. What
No,
technology? I want to learn.
so technology in the sense we've exported manpower, and in fact
That's not
technology
technology. No,
yeah,
1 minute. This
and
is
we
my
have
point.
got
That is
GCCs
shopping. That is
in
body
India
shopping.
itself.
Suhail,
That is
let him
labor
finish.
arbitrage.
No. Suhail,
Let
No,
me
let him
finish. Let me
finish.
finish.
that is labor
Let him.
arbitrage. You can't say human beings are technology yet. Next,
Oh,
you'll go
he's
to
No, no,
he's he's making his full
uh,
point. Let him make
yeah,
his
yeah,
full point.
yeah.
Okay,
So I'm
sorry, go ahead.
talking about no, I'm saying technology aided things, manpower, and we also have a lot of other products. Also, if you see the growth of India, has most of it is
Boss, you tell me
maybe
what
it is
technology.
Europe
Let's fix
as
the
well
next
as
thing.
Listen.
What
He's
one
he's
minute?
he's
What
I'm giving the
technology have we
overall
exported?
perspective, Suhail.
No,
Here.
no.
he's giving the
Nuclear
overall.
So,
technology. Have we
Why is he
exported
so argumentative,
nuclear
Suhail? This is
reactors? No. This is important because he may have something that I don't know.
Okay,
I'm trying to learn.
let me give you one piece of technology that we are exporting. That is the entire infrared and optronics package of all General Atomics drones, including a newly developed gigabyte camera, is made in India and it's being exported out there.
yeah,
And it's
Suhail
not
now.
just for the ones we're buying, it's also for the ones the Americans are using and exporting further.
Pratik, back to you. Please make your point.
yeah, so I'm trying to say is that India is also knowing that the growth of India has been, the last 20, 30 years has been because of fueled by, West economics, be it US. US is always a big daddy. Yes, they should not be trusted and all, but India is fairly a good, partner to US all these years, as well as partner to UK and Europe. And the growth of India also has been, helped by the nation. So, doing these three deals in this year, it's really welcome thing because EU is done, UK is done, and US now is a good fairly done. I think it's very good. We are talking about a future for India, but I'm trying to say again that while we're doing all the deals, which is very good as economics. In back in India, we need to see how we're going to support the MSMEs and all. Though that's very very critical because they really contribute a large part of the overall GDP of India. That's what my take is.
One of the big takeaways has been the 18% on made in India products. That is causing quite a lot of cheer, isn't it? And that would
Huh?
help MSMEs also.
Yeah, but it was earlier 40%, 50%, and then 18.
So it's
But
brought down.
which are the sectors? So which are the sectors we are actually talking about? Maximum of our exports, if you see, in to US has been gems and jewelry, textile and apparel. So those are things which are there now. We are ahead of Pakistan and Bangladesh, yeah, especially Bangladesh, and especially with Vietnam. Also, as far as textile and apparels are concerned, so those can will be a big beneficiaries of this 18% game actually. Then you have gems and jewelry, which is highly, high in demand in US, and maximum exports apart from electronics and the mobile phones is gems and jewelry. So that's a welcome thing. And then you have your engineering goods and auto components, and we have chemicals, and one of the important even exports, which I think is which when I did research was shrimps. So marine exports like shrimps, which is very much abundance in here, and it's not that they will all be benefited, apart from whatever leather goods which we produce here. So those things are also there as relief actions. So if it is made in India, as you said, shipped containers employ a lot of people. It is going to be Origin is spanning today, because that's very important. If it is really big demand, as such, we say, brought down to 18%, and such demand is there in US and other countries.
Right. Right. No, and I want to actually even figure out the political part of it, AIM, with us being positioned as a backup, so to speak, to China, and as a potential heavyweight in this region, which is aligned to the US and its democratic values, et cetera, et cetera. What do you make of that?
Look, I
See, I
never
think.
take
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I never
This,
take these shared values bit seriously. The Americans will deal with the devil. Most of their manufacturing comes from China anyway, which does not share values. China has become China based on access to the American market and the European market. Okay? So let's just bunk this shared values. The problem with Indians is, we hear things that sound nice to us and we buy it lock, stock, and barrel. Okay, it's like how families will bankrupt themselves क्योंकि बेटी का शादी धूमधाम से मनाना है, not because they have the money, but because लोग क्या सोचेंगे. Okay, so that kind of thing. Let's keep that out. Now, there is a roadmap to $500 billion in American exports to India. I want you to go back and check how many of the deals we've made in the past have claimed we will treble trade, we will quadruple trade. The first India Russia pact we signed, some strategic partnership. We keep upgrading. There is some kind of partnership, then it gets upgraded to something else partnership, then it gets upgraded to strategic partnership, then it gets upgraded to deeply strategic partnership. I'm being facetious, but there are these gradations of partnerships. They had envisaged India Russia trade at something like 75 to $100 billion. Neither has Russia been able to grow its economy to or manufacture things, nor has India been able to grow its economy and manufacture things at that level. Okay, so ये जो pipe dreams है ना, let them be pipe dreams. We don't have to grace it. Also, remember, the moment India becomes a threat, India will come in the same category as China. Right now, you're seen as a Labrador because a Labrador doesn't bite. Remember, a Labrador is the same size as a Rottweiler. Everybody wants to have a Labrador. Nobody wants to have a Rottweiler. Why is that? Because a Rottweiler actually does work. Okay, so there is no geopolitical aspect of it per se. Had there been a geopolitical aspect, you would have seen a lot of he would have kept defense and this thing on a different track. Then why did he say we withheld the H-64 Apache sales to India then? Right? So इसमें कोई strategic नहीं है. The Americans, even before Trump, to be fair to Trump, I prefer Trump to Biden. Because Trump जो करता है, he does it straight to your face. पीठ के पीछे जाके खंजर नहीं मारता है. Whereas with Biden, they were consistently trying to undermine the state through all these NGOs and funding all kinds of nonsense against us. Slowly, surely, but very effectively. He stopped all that.
Is this the beginning of an economic alliance, sort of like NATO, but without that formal kind of obligation? Do you perceive that?
No, I think quite the contrary. What has happened is you're seeing the breakdown of alliances. You had a global, GATT, which became WTO kind of thing. That is now broken down comprehensively. It is now entirely, there is no more collectivism in the globe. It is all individual bilateral things like that. Bilateral power will be leveraged. We're, in fact, in a completely new setup. Let's see where it goes.
And just to tell you, Advaita, in fact, you talked about China's backup as India. I know it is fair, but because China is 10 times the manufacturing capability than India
Yeah.
as such, So it can be China plus one or China plus I, that can be. So China, maybe it's 30% of the overall global manufacturing is in China, and India is hardly 3%. So we're not comparing that at all. But
Okay.
so that is what is, people will say, "Arey, abhi hum, India will be back up to China as something," because it's huge, way long to go. In fact, in China, the manufacturing and it's so fast and it's so big. So we cannot.
And look
China
at
maybe
ease
is a
of
factory.
business. Look at ease of business. Look
Mm.
at
Yeah,
land
yeah,
acquisition laws. Look at labor laws.
yeah. Labor laws, I
We have
know.
to
In
have a
fact, how
reality
we are
check.
doing in dealing with this. Right, that's right.
So even our
And
relationship
because
with the US must be calibrated. We are not going
and
to become
it's
a huge economy overnight. We have to put
yeah,
in motion certain things. And which is why I said the budget may excite a lot of people. Other than the stock market, doesn't excite anyone. It's the policies where we have to focus. And Modi started off, and to my mind, continues to focus on these policies. But we need more alacrity. We need more execution skills. We need the bureaucracy to double down. They are absolutely errant in terms of implementation at times. Look at our urban infrastructure. It fucking sucks. Can you imagine?
Language.
Yeah, you have all these companies in Gurugram, global companies headquartered. You can't bloody walk here. So take a reality check, Advaita. Just because you're bloody sucking up to Uttarakhand government and this government and that government doesn't mean everything is hunky dory.
I like the way how I'm targeted almost as much as the BJP on this panel, on this show actually, on this channel. But
Only
but
when
no,
you dare do you
and
complain.
again,
Convey.
yeah, we just reiterating again, same thing goes again and again that we should not ignore the power of MSMEs. Like, see how Germany, they call it Mittelstand, 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 which is nothing but they don't have a micro, but they have SMEs, small, medium enterprise. Even UK, for Canada, in fact. So they all thrive on small and medium enterprise. Here we have micro, small, and medium enterprise, and that should not be forgotten at all. And that is the whole thing. If we are able to enhance, as we're saying, if we're able to enhance the capital access, we're able to enhance the, like, you're talking about labor laws and compliance, which I'm doing it day in, day out. The dissemination to, the new four labor codes and all was not good at all. As I think our Trumpesh Kumar, he did say that we are not good in communicating, whether it is US side of what we're trying to communicate, or EU, or even labor laws, or whatever we're not communicating well, and people are just then they became graduates of the WhatsApp and Instagram universities, and then they just share whatever they get the cold feet, and which is not right. Government has to ensure that whatever they want to convey, whether it is USD or whether it is India, whatever they are doing it, a proper good communication channel should be there. And I second you, they should have someone like Sohail who can really put up very good in communication, and that is
he's
where
so
what is really
unpleasant.
needed. And
How can they have someone like him? He's so
Yeah,
grumpy
I'm
all
not
the
here to
time.
win a
He's
popularity
perfectly
vote.
pleasant to me. Maybe
Yeah,
He's
you're
so
an
grumpy.
unpleasant.
very
Maybe you're
straightforward, as
unpleasant.
we say.
That's why he's unpleasant to you.
yeah. And A,
Yeah.
B, I have to work. I don't have to be all sweet and honey like you. Means
Yeah.
Okay,
nothing.
fine. Moving on. Now that Pratik mentioned micro industry, let me just mention the soaps. Please do, if you want to try handmade, clay infused, oil infused, lovely, deeply moisturizing and refreshing soaps, then you can order them. You see that scrolling below you, below us on the screen. That's where you can place orders. AIM is a very satisfied customer of the soaps, I have to say. Although he's on mute right now, so he's not repeating what I'm saying. Yes, go ahead,
One
AIM.
cylinder वो जरा वो soap दे दो.
Oh,
In fact,
he's
there's
going
a
to talk.
huge demand. I mean, we just been
I
digressing, but
just want
one
to
of the
say how
very
much I love
upcoming.
this book.
No, Pratik is saying something. Let Pratik finish.
No,
Just
no.
because he's the first time here, you all can't bully him. Pratik, go ahead
Yeah,
and
I'm
say
not
what you
getting.
want.
No, no, I'm just saying soaps and cosmetics, which you say it's a huge demand actually in US, and this deal is very
Yes.
good for exports to US and EU as well because they
Pratik,
really
can you
like
can
this
you give
noise.
me the details on that? Because I have a soap that I do. Yes. Go ahead,
Yeah,
AIM.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
So
just want
that
to
is
say
one thing.
how much I love this soap. I'm actually treasuring it because it's like it's the best smelling soap I've ever had, and you can really feel the
No,
quality.
the matcha and rice is actually a lovely aroma. It's
It
lovely.
is. It's a gorgeous aroma.
And I
Yeah.
just want to tell
I,
you all that I blend my own aromas. I don't buy like ready-made aromas. I create my own blends.
After she consulted me and Suhail about it, by the way.
Not true at all. This is all
Yeah.
my work. I've been doing it for all of 2025. I've been trying to perfect these blends. It's what I do in my free time. And the clays are really purifying and great. So, anyway, moving back to
Can
the
we come,
topic of
can
description.
we come back to the trade deal? See, I'm going to synthesize what Suhail said. It's a systemic problem because in once you have manufacturing, you need a population and a bureaucracy that can problem solve and think. You can't have a rules based society. You need to have a principles based society where bureaucrats are trained to think and interpret those principles, because industrialization requires variation. When you have not focused on primary education, your national education policy is a joke. You remember, I've been saying this since the national education policy came out, that it was a sad, pathetic cut paste job from countries with a 30, $40,000 per capita income. You have all these end results. We will do problem solving based education. भाई, देखा है तुम्हारे स्कूल में क्या सिखा रहे हैं? देखा है
hmm.
तुम्हारी टीचरों की औकात आजकल? Don't think for yourself. I will give you one slap if you think for yourself.
Yeah,
This
we
is the
don't
kind
have an issue of unemployment, but we have a big issue of unemployability actually. Not
of exact,
unemployment. So,
and
so
it is a
that's it.
scientific issue. It is, you literally 97% of Indian engineers can't problem solve.
True.
Okay,
We've
and
been facing
every
the
mother
same.
whose child passes a, first they all want to get a bachelor's degree. Your Skilling India has done good skilling, but where is the trade certificate and things like that? So, for example, today you've done skilling to become a plumber, very essential job. I don't think people realize this, but in America, Australia, and places like that, plumbers earn very good living. I remember when I started working in Australia, my plumber used to come in a BMW when I could only afford a Toyota. And I was like, "Arey, ye to bahut achhi baat hai, bhai." But that is the way it is. But anyway, where is the certification where you give a plumber, and where is his employability then across the board? So you ask the urban clap plumber, sir, do you have a plumber? What have you done in plumbering? They won't be able to tell you.
So
Mostly,
we have, in fact, to answer your question, you have actually, in fact, NSDC, National Skill Development Council, and they do prior
they
recognition
do.
of
But
your
where
thing.
is where is the standardization of the training? Where is the requirement that only people who have that will be employed, etc., etc.? Are you cracking down on fly by night operators and things? मेरे पापा ने मेरे को plumbing सिखाया, therefore मैं plumber हूँ, etc., etc. See, so there is no skill variegation that's been created.
No,
You
it
have a
is there. I'm
huge
sorry.
problem where
Sorry,
you cannot.
no,
Sorry,
no.
I
You're
have a,
right. Partly, I'm sorry.
sorry, one.
Partly right, partly wrong. But I'm saying just to share. Sorry to interject here, but there is a skill sector council for every kind of industry, and it's called SSC. You can go to NSDC site, and there are skill sector councils for each and every industry. And for example, if you want housekeeping, you want hospitality, you want plumber, there's skill sector councils already made up, and based on the skill sector councils there are a lot of training, you can say, centers which are there. It's called TCs, and authorized TCs are there. From there, the children come. So even in this current budget, if you have seen, the budget is signaling a move from qualification-led hiring to skill-led employability. So it is there. It is in books. Practicality, yes, I agree with you.
Practicality कुछ नहीं
Since
है.
you don't know, you don't know with the practicality. it is still very, very minuscule. Yes, the framework is there, everything is there, very basic. Like yesterday only, I was speaking to someone. They need a lot of housekeeping, a lot of facility man people, but at the supply end, there is hardly anything. As I again said, reiterating, we have a huge issue about employability, not unemployment. So unemployability is a big criteria, and as you rightly said, schooling, wooling, वो सब होना चाहिए, except that is what
No,
it is.
Pratik, you're absolutely right about unemployability, which is we have a few samples here also on this panel, which is why we do this show.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Wow.
I'm so offended. I'm
We're
going to
prime examples of India's
I'm
Yeah.
going
problem
to
of unemployability.
The only
insulted.
person
I
who's
should have
unemployed
been
on this panel is you. You don't have a full-time job. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Where's Abhijit gone? He suddenly disappeared.
Yeah, he maybe
He vanished.
he's again
Sohail, yes, you
renaming.
were saying something which is not personal about me, but just about the topic. What were you saying?
You're not exactly employed.
I said that it's not about me. It has to be about what we're discussing, the topic at hand. So, hey, okay, since you're so reserved about anything American, you kind of second guess everything that they're doing, and I think that's wise. What can you say that we have got access to through this deal that we didn't have earlier when it comes to
Nothing.
America?
Nothing has changed. Nothing. Because
Okay.
all the items which are under the purview of the trade agreement remain the same. It's not as if they said that if you import nuclear technology from us, we'll give it to you at 20% or 30%. Look, America is working for America's interests as they should. There's no question about that. America will continue to sell weapons to us as much as they can. They'll try and do as many defense deals. They will try and push the Boeings of the world on us. It's par for the course. It happens all the time. Look, you have to understand, America works for Americans. And under Narendra Modi, India has started working for Indians, which is something that America couldn't stomach earlier. That's the difference. Earlier, when we were asked to walk, we would crawl. Today, when we are asked to crawl, we don't even care about walking. That is the new India that America is now beginning to see and realize the potential and potency of. So, in this new world order, America may be able to bully people whose defenses they support, like NATO. But India has shown that, look, we are our own people. We may not be as rich as you. We may not be as progressive as you right now, but we'll get there. We are a population that is difficult to ignore. We are a brain power that is difficult to ignore. And we are a potential that is difficult to ignore. It's as simple as that. Now, if you look at the region and you talk about the global south, India is seen for leadership. Look at the Prime Minister's comments, whether it is on Gaza, on Israel, on Ukraine, or in Russia. They have been measured and laced with gravitas. He's not the kind who shoots and scoots like Rahul Gandhi does. Because Rahul Gandhi is intellectually innocent. I'm glad we have Narendra Modi today. So yesterday I was doing a podcast with Ariel Whitman from Israel. And someone asked me, they said, this is Ariel gentleman asked me, he says, how would you differentiate between Netanyahu and Narendra Modi? I said, it's very simple. Netanyahu comes across as aggressive and as an aggressor. We come across as firm. We have ditched the Gandhian thing of, if you slap us on one side of our face, on one cheek, we'll offer the other. Sorry. The India today is more muscular. At times it could be perceived as arrogance, fair enough. But it is not an India that can be walked over or trampled upon. That is the distinction that people are seeing. So my belief is that India must take pride in three things: our civilizational legacy, our rule of law, and our ability to stand up to bullies, because a bully is essentially a coward. A bully wants you to be fearful. and we have nothing to fear except fear itself. That's the new India. That's why India is important. That's why India is relevant. And that's why Modi is important. It's not about whether you support the BJP or the Congress or the TDP. That's irrelevant. The leader at the center must guide the destiny of a nation and not of a political party or a political agenda. And to that end, he has to be elected. But once elected, he must drive a national agenda. And that's what is happening.
Yeah, this was something I tweeted about earlier today also, was that the most fun thing for me about all these negotiations and these actually the last 6-7 months where we were under a lot of narrative wars and attacks. I mean, that's my area, so I track that very closely. And the Prime Minister didn't blink. He didn't blink even once. He was facing a lot of criticism domestically. He didn't blink. And what he's done now, and I think Sohail said that also, is that he's sort of reset the way future prime ministers are going to be having to communicate with the world at large. And I think that's very important, because it was time that we shifted out of that mode of always needing something or being like, oh, we're a poor country, please help us. That conversation, I think Prime Minister Modi has changed forever. Do you agree with that, Pratik? I know it's a political question, but
No, yes. In fact, so I would say net, and now we talk about the topic itself. So Indo-US trade deal, it's a very strong positive signal for India at the right time. Actually, just after, in last 6-7 months, UK happened and EU happened, and now this. So it resists tariff in a way, but that improves, India's export competitiveness in the US market. That's very important. That's only possible, as Sohail said, that you have a strong leadership in front, and that's very important. And which also will directly help job-heavy sectors and whole supply chain, actually, which will work. So it's not a full textbook FTA, which we talk about, like how traditional FTA we have signed with EU and UK as such. But it's just a phase one framework, and the real test will be the fine print, which we need to see, which product line will get benefit, how rules of origin and safeguard will be enforced. For example, what if there are companies who are importing from China to US and exporting back to India? So those things, the rules of origin and safeguards should be enforced. So those are the fine prints which India has to see. It should not happen, right? I mean, then you take made in China products from US. So those things should not happen. So those things are very, very important, that how rules of origin and safeguards are enforced, how quickly exporters can convert their orders, and India has to also balance it with strategic purchases and limited opening in sensitive areas like farming or agriculture we talk about, right? So that's very, very important, which we need to see. And that's what it is. In fact, so the winners,
okay.
if it really, India has to really put up stronger GDP is definitely there, but PPP, to increase PPP and per capita income, I think, again, I'm reiterating that for MSMEs, the opportunity is real, and they'll be the winners if they are, they are helped to enhance the quality, documentation, delivery reliability, all on par. It is very good. And if good direction has to be given by the government, and if that happens, it will be a really big moment for India, in fact, in the coming
Okay.
years.
All right. So great discussion. I want to thank both of you for joining. I want to also thank our viewers for tuning in. And of course, do note, if you'd like to try out the soaps, the details are be
Yes,
scrolled
I would.
below. And Pratik,
Uh,
I've already found a customer. Great.
Yeah. I would. I love Hindman soap, so I would like to
Oh,
try that.
lovely,
In fact,
lovely.
yeah. So yeah.
It's in it. So it's very like deep and it's nice because there's so much pollution and very gentle. But I want to end with a comment, a start comment from one of our viewers. I'm going to do this in every show now, the best comment of the show. I'm going to put it up on the screen before we sign out. And this one is from Raj Singh Ji. And here it is on the screen. Suhail?
It
I
just
can't
shows
see that.
your intellect.
मोदी है तो मुमकिन है, सुहेल क्यूटी पंपकिन है.
I don't know pumpkin, but he doesn't look like pumpkin. Yes.
Where do I order? Okay, Satya wants to order. Satya, thank you. It's you can write into advaitaoffice@gmail.com. We're still I have a website, but I've got to still activate it for taking orders and stuff. But thank you everybody for joining us. Really appreciate
Yeah,
it. Had a good viewership for this topic. Prateek, thank you so much for coming by today. And
yeah. I would
I
lovely
hope you'll
to
join us
maybe
again.
more sessions and all we can have. And so last one line I wanted to just say that the deal opens the door, but execution decides who walks through it. So that's what I want to say
Yes.
that.
Well said. So, Hale, do you want to give a last line also, since you always like to have the last word?
No,
I don't
no,
want
no.
to take that away
I
from
think
you.
it's, I think it's a good discussion. I mean, we can't avoid you, but I mean, that apart, it's very good.
Okay.
Thank
All
you
right,
very much for
everybody.
inviting me.
Not at all. We'll have you back. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Bye for now. Take care of
Thanks.
yourselves. And we'll be back whenever there are interesting topics, right? So don't think that we're gone, but just that if there's nothing interesting, that doesn't make sense to do a Sunday club, right? So,
Yeah,
Hale?
yeah, okay, we understand. Okay, your
Yeah.
bloody epilogue is also longer than the freaking essay.
Oh, okay. Adu Soaps brought to you by Adu Soaps. Bye.